All right, y'all. Welcome, welcome. Here we go, right? There it is. There we are. I hope you're doing well. Man, it feels like I was just here. And the funny thing is that recently, this is probably the most prep I've done. Or I should say, how early I got started on these topics. And for whatever reason, I feel completely unprepared to cover them. Which makes the whole, you know, React streamers, like I understand um, why it is they do it, because it's easy to just pull up, an article, a video, and just react to it for the first time or read it for the first time. I get it. Not only is it easier because you don't have to do any, prep, you don't have to do any homework, but also like it's more, again, your initial reaction and more importantly, your initial emotions are easier to, I don't know, to exaggerate and make it fun for the camera, for the audience, for the viewer, than saying, "Oh, I've been through this before, and I worked through my initial thoughts and emotions." So you kind of like, it's a little watered down, it's a little less erratic, less passionate. But again, is is their intelligence so high, so above the rest of us, that their initial thought, their very first reaction is worth paying for? Because remember, these individuals, these opportunistic vultures, are trying to make a hobby, just politics, sharing your opinion on it, your analysis, trying to live off of that through you, working class individuals who are interested in a leftist perspective, leftist analysis, leftist entertainment, edutainment, whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, they're trying to make a living off of this, off of you, off of your hard work. Because this is easy. Even with the prep that I do, whatever, this is easy. And that's why I encourage everyone else to participate in it, to engage, to share your thoughts publicly, especially if you're not some white dude who grew up comfortably. Because we need, those different voices, preferably radical voices, with, some self-respect, dignity, principled individuals to step up. Because I'm a scumbag, and I definitely barely kind of sort of fit that category at times. So if anybody could take on the position of being the asshole that calls out all these sock them liberal centrist opportunists, vampires of the working class, please step up so I could go back to pretending to do martial arts. All right. So what are we discussing? We're going over Anna Kasparian and Dave Smith. Not a debate, but it was more of a conversation that truly highlights how far, the reactionary right wing, pro cop, tough on crime, brain rot Anna Kasparian has truly, embraced and bought into. So much so that somebody like Dave Smith is to her left. Is to her left. That's where we're at. And even she goes as far to say it out loud, like, wow, I never thought I'd be in this position. Well, because you were never leftist. You were a glorified centrist. Hell, if you know the history of the Young Turks, she was a token. Forget DEI. Forget DEI. She was literally a token, an Armenian used to help whitewash Jenks Armenian genocide denial, as well as the fact that the Young Turks is the name of the group that initiated the Armenian genocide, equivalent to the brown shirts or the black shirts in Italy. Cenk named them after the genocidal group, and then claimed that, oh no, Young Turks, meaning, pushing back against the mainstream counterculture. That's what I meant by Young Turks. The Rod Stewart song. Right. Not the fact that you were a right winger, not the fact that you were a Turkish nationalist, not the fact that you were a denier of the Armenian genocide. None of those things influenced or were the reason, the foundation for you naming the largest progressive network, the Young Turks. And you just so happen to hire a young Armenian, desperate for relevancy and stardom, a sellout to her own people. Ask yourself why the Armenian community does not embrace Anna Kasparian. Because she's a sellout. So we're going to go over that. Already having fun with that. White guys for Harris. White guys for Harris. We see how the Democratic Party continues to weaponize, identity politics, and they're so desperate for it in order not to truly address, class issues, concerns of the working class, alleviate, the suffering of those forced to work over 40 hours, more than a single job, those that tear their body, to shreds in order to provide, food, shelter for their families. No. They can't concern themselves over that. What they're going to do is say, oh, well, we target and pander to black people by kneeling and not passing any legitimate legislation. In fact, we're going to fund the police even more. We're going to pander to the so-called Hispanic Latino vote. Meanwhile, Obama, our savior, our saint, was a deporter in chief, and Joe Biden was ready to pass a border bill that was going to be the most extreme and right-wing legislation passed. And the only reason it was stopped is because Trump wanted to play politics with the border. When you have Lindsey Graham, Lindsey clan, a legit, his lineage, his bloodline, we're all clan members. When you have him saying to his party, hey, we have to take this deal because we will never have a better opportunity, even if we have the presidency, we would have to provide a path to citizenship. They would have to provide a path for citizenship. But with Joe Biden's proposal, nope. Not even that. Not even that. So while they pander to the so-called minorities, while stabbing them in the back every chance they get, now they're finally going to double down and go for the white vote. White guys for Harris. What could possibly go wrong with that? What could possibly go wrong with that? So we're going to cover that. See how Hollywood is embracing it fully, as if you don't need a greater example why Kamala Harris support is AstroTurf manufactured. That's not to say that some of it is legitimate. We have that like petty bourgeois class of black and non-white women included. That's what we're going to cover mainly, as well as the white guys who simply want to see brown or black faces in high places. And for them, that's enough. For them, that's enough. They don't care about their community. Not really, not truly. They don't care enough about their community to stand for something but they care enough about their community to say, hey, it looks good. It looks good if I pretend to give a fuck about my people, about the oppression, subjugation, exploitation. Meanwhile, I'm going to live comfortably. I want to make sure my kids are taken care of. Go to private schools. They don't care if they're around predominantly white people to harass their children, as long as they go to the right schools. So they're not mixed around the wrong people. And we see the classism within the affluent, minority, races, black and brown people for the most part. That's gonna be my first spit take there. Honkies for Harris. Yeah, but here's the thing. They don't have a sense of humor like that. And these liberals do not have a self-deprecating humor required to do something like that. They'll kneel, they'll be cringe, they'll be performative. But to actually laugh at themselves, it's impossible. They're too self-righteous. They're better than you and me. They're better than you and me, and they know more than you and me. They'd probably say you and I, or however the fuck you're supposed to say. We're going to go over JD Vance's leaked emails. Homie is a cop hater. JD Vance might be the biggest fucking two-faced sellout we've seen in a while. Because not even Obama was this, hypocritical. Was willing to sell out this hard. Because Obama never was on the left. We know this from his autobiography, his memoir, whatever the fuck you call it, where he said, I read Marx and I embrace all these radical, ideologies just to get laid. That's who he was. And I truly believe that JD Vance, at some point, time and place, actually did want to help the people from the community he was with. Now, sure, he probably hated them because he saw himself in them and he was resentful of his upbringing, especially when you're surrounded with affluent people from, the right side of the tracks and good families. You become more and more resentful because you're like, well, why couldn't I have that? Why am I not a part of that? They exclude me. They have inside jokes and cultural capital that I can never truly tap into. They know where I come from. They know I'm from the fucking mud. They know my roots aren't fucking lavish. My hands aren't as fucking silky smooth as theirs. So yeah, I think that at some point he cared. But the man's out for himself. He's trying to make it big on his own. And evidence for that is, sure, his wife probably belongs to the highest caste in the Indian caste system, is why she's willing to embrace, the white supremacist movement. However, we could talk about fetishization. We could talk about, pursuing these exotic women. But you could tell that he loves her, that he cares about her, and that it bothers him when, like, the Groypers, the American First, the outright white supremacists are out here attacking his wife. But he's willing to take it on the chin and embrace Donald Trump and the MAGA movement, even though he called Trump, again in these leaked emails, a version of Hitler, compared him to Hitler. Well, we'll go over the leaked emails there. Is this a crackers for Kamala meeting? Once I figure out the whole light situation, I'm going to find a way to, like, with the click of a button, I want the light to be so bright that I look white. It happens sometimes. Like, okay, this hand right here. I don't know how to focus that, but like, white power. I'm trying to fix the lighting in here, but I swear I'm brown. I'm a BIPOC. Listen to my voice, everyone. Give me money. No. If you're new here, we don't ask for money. We don't ask for money. If you're a leftist and you're doing this infotainment bullshit, sharing your opinions, that's all you're doing. That's all you're doing. That is all you're doing. And you're asking hardworking people for their money. You're nothing more than an opportunistic vulture. Please remember, subscribe, like the stream, comment. But no matter what, do not feed the streamers, do not feed the podcasters, do not feed the video essayists. These motherfuckers are predominantly white men, if not just men, able-bodied, can get off their ass and work, but instead they want you to pay for their hobbies and their living style and do what? React to politics. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of it. Pick up a shift, go work on your day off, do some OT, find out how a double feels, and have some goddamn integrity. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Reading theory is at least for me, I'll be honest with it, I engage in it. I encourage everybody to do it. I'm not glorifying ignorance, illiteracy, but it's a fucking bore if you're not talking about individuals who, wrote directly. Maria Sinson, going over basic principles of Marxist-Leninism, a primer right now. Stalin, if we're being honest, is very direct, and so is Mao. But everybody else, at least that I've engaged with, is like, fuck, bro, like you're just constantly reminding me how fucking uneducated and stupid I am. So it makes it difficult. But yes, to do it simply to get laid, it is some predator shit. And here's the thing. I feel like a lot of these liberals are predatory, are predators. And not necessarily those pursuing to take sexual advantage of others. They're predators in attempting to seem trustworthy, reliable, like your friends, like they'll have your back, right? That's what I mean by predatory. They'll learn the words. Oh, right now it's settler colonialism. Oh, right now it's decolonized. Oh, right now it's land acknowledgements. Shit like that, right? All to seem like they're not what they are. Those aligned with white supremacy. They'll sell you out in order to maintain a comfortable lifestyle. So for me, that is, liberals are predators. They're the sly fox, right? So that's what I mean. More so than like the wolf that is stalking you. You know what their objective is. The fox, the liberal, will try to befriend you. They will smile at you. And they say, no, you could trust me. Come here. No, we'll struggle together. I'll be your comrade. No, we have the same enemy. No, I hate the rich too. We should tax them. Like, tax them, homie. What the fuck? That's it. That's all you want to do? Tax them? No. First, we got to tax them, then we'll see where we go. Like, history has taught us that time and time again, the liberal will align with reactionary forces because they are inherently reactionary. It's why they're anti-socialist, anti-communist. They're anti-revolutionary. They're anti-decolonization to their core. That's why you're hearing them advocate for a single democratic state, a post-Palestine, post-Israeli state. Or they can all just hold hands and sing Kumbaya. Because they don't actually oppose settler colonialism. They simply wanted to evolve in the likeness of the United States. In the likeness of the United States. Meaning, oh, indigenous people, Native Americans, have the right to vote. Oh, sure, they have self-determination. Yeah. No, of course, yeah. Oh, no, they're in politics. They're involved. They're moving up. Oh, they have casinos. Oh, they're doing well for themselves. They're coming up. And then you ask them, well, what about their land that you kicked them out of, that you forced them out of, that you killed them off of? Oh, well, that was such a long time ago. It was, so sad, but so long ago. Like shit like that is demonic. The fact that they're telling you to go vote initially for Genocide Joe, not willing to sacrifice or put their rights and privileges on the line, and saying, hey, we're going to organize around a true workers' party, or at the very least, somebody that isn't advocating for genocide. So if you want to keep it simple, the Green Party, want to get a little spicy, just a tiny little paprika or whatever the fuck on there, the PSL, right? Things like that. No solutions, but we're speaking their language of electoralism. They couldn't even do that. They're willing to support genocide, telling you, oh, no, we'll find a way. Once we elect them, we'll push them to the left. Everybody around Joe Biden that was telling him, hey, how about we stop mass murdering Palestinians, resigned, left, because they couldn't sleep at night, knowing this was not going to stop. And yet liberals will tell you, no, we reelect him. In those 4 years, we'll manage to make him stop killing Palestinians. And now with Kamala Harris, suddenly she wasn't the vice president. Suddenly she was the most, anti-genocide, pro-Palestinian candidate we've ever known. She just couldn't really express herself as vice president. But once we elect her, all her sins will be washed away from being complicit in a genocide against Palestinians. And then we'll see her true revolutionary colors. Mind you, her father, who was like a Marxist intellectual, her father had already basically disowned her, commented about how a vile creature she truly is. And yet these liberals want you to believe that once elected president, her heart will go 10 times the size, like she was a fucking genocidal Grinch. So yes, I view liberals as predators. They will prey on your fears, on our lack of education, of revolutionary and radical history. They are predators. We're only 23 fucking minutes in and I haven't covered a single topic yet. If you know, you know. Hate, you can fucking trust. All right. Let's get into it, I suppose, I guess. Let's start with something light, something fun. Let's keep this fucking energy going before we get into some serious shit. There's a lot of cover about Israel's atrocities and genocide and cannibalism that they're engaging in. But we'll save that for last so y'all could go to bed feeling fucking great. Feeling great. Oh, self-care. Do a little bit of self-care. Fuck that. We live in luxury. We're fucking blessed. We're spoiled. We live in the belly of the beast and it fucking shows compared to the rest of the world. Let's be honest about it. Our shortcomings, our complicity, our fucking laziness, our cowardness that we have. Undisciplined, spoiled fucking brats that we are. Can we be truthful? Can we be truthful to ourselves? As leftists, socialists, communists, hell, even anarchists, can we be honest and say that we have failed the rest of the fucking world day in and day out? Day in and day out. You might go to sleep a little hungry, but you're not worried about a fucking bomb going off. Yeah. Fuck. So much for the positive energy to begin with. But here is what we're going to cover first. And a fucking Kasparian. This white woman who knows no shame. I believe it's at 37. Okay. Here she is with Dave Smith. For y'all that don't know, Dave Smith is a fucking joke. A fucking clown. I believe we might have covered him already here. Because he does a solid job. He might be the best liberal Zionist. He might be the best liberal Zionist. Which is to say, he's a fucking Zionist. But he has competition with Elon Pape, Jeff Halper, Norm Finkelstein. I know I'm forgetting one more opportunist, one more liberal Zionist. I'm blank. I see his face. But I don't remember what his name. All right. Here he is having a nice little conversation with Cenk Uygur and Ana Kasparian. And I will eventually make a longer like video essay style video about the Young Turks. But to be completely on the record, the Young Turks is nothing more than a right-wing commentator machine. Because Cenk Uygur is nothing more than a right-wing opportunist. We've already been over his denial of the Armenian genocide. He was supporting wars that he literally was old enough to participate in, and yet wouldn't. And he shifts wherever the wind blows. It's no longer, right? TYT's home of progressive, but the main show, TYT, the main show, he rebranded home of mainstream progressives. I mean, at this point, it's like you never had teeth to begin with. They were all molars. But at this point, you're knocking them out to be completely toothless and give the reactionaries the sloppiest fucking head they've ever gotten in their lives. Again, from Dave Rubin to Jimmy Dore, one after another, now Ana Kasparian, TYT has produced nothing but opportunistic, reactionary, right-wing populist commentators. Michael Tracy comes from there as well. That Ben guy, I always forget his fucking last name. The newer comedian guy. Ben Glib, a rabid fucking Zionist. The moment that a liberal is made to personally feel uncomfortable, other prejudice, hatred comes out. All right. And yes, of course, we fucking love Rick Decolonized Buffalo here. People, please, if you can, take a moment to tell the old people in your life, the senior citizens, that they're awesome, that they're great, that you appreciate them. They might not be able to hear you, because they're old. But maybe mouth it, like just enunciate. Sometimes I have to do that with Rick. Make sure you have eye contact with him. All right. Enough of the ageism. You can't have that here. Let's hear these fucking clowns.
And Kamala Harris is just like everything I hate about politics. I mean, her, just her track record as a prosecutor, and it's not like she was one of these progressive prosecutors. She was like a Reaganite prosecutor, And so no, for me personally, nothing's changed there. The dynamics of the race have changed a lot.
Right.
Excuse me. So here we have Libertarian Dave Smith literally calling Kamala Harris like a Reaganite. Just he nails exactly what she is, how she got big in politics. Patrick Valencia, thank you. Liberals hate when you ask them, how do you hold a politician accountable after you vote for them? Yeah, well, no. You got to keep the pressure on. You got to keep the pressure on. And it's like, how exactly do you do that? A politician only cares about getting elected, about securing your votes. So the only way to hold them accountable is by not voting for them. Because once they're in office, they're going to fuck you over. And then when the re-election comes through, they're going to make all these grandiose promises. You have the liberal Zionists, the opportunists over at the Majority Report, who believe that Israel has the right to exist because it does exist, who try to change the definition of anti-Zionist to fit their needs, because they're too cowardly to even claim to be anti-Zionist. But they're over here saying, oh, well, Joe Biden, once he was feeling the pressure, once he saw those numbers going down, the poll numbers, he was starting to advocate and push and promise all these, great leftist demands, these progressive demands to be specific. Yes, of course. Of course he fucking lied to you. Of course he was going to say anything and everything to get reelected. But you already had 4 years demonstrating, and decades of his political career telling you directly where he stands and that he will always be in alignment with capital. Everybody wants to give him credit for being, he was the most pro-union president we've ever had. Meanwhile, he crushed what would have been the largest strike in modern history that would have changed the landscape for unions in this country. It would have altered the way that Americans relate to unions. You've seen with Starbucks, you've seen with Amazon, that slowly but surely unions were starting to get embraced once again by the mainstream, by the masses. And we still have this very, Americana view of railroad workers. They're still in our mind, like as blue collar as it gets. Besides your plumber and your mechanic, right? We have that image. So they would have been allowed, because they literally would have to be allowed by the state, the federal government, to strike. It would have stopped the economy. It would have had an impact never before seen. But Joe Biden couldn't have that, so he gives you crumbs. He gives you crumbs when he denied you this fucking pie that we had never before had the opportunity to have a taste of. Not in modern history. Not in modern history. Liberals will always celebrate crumbs. Liberals will always celebrate crumbs. That's how fucking spineless and pathetic they are, because for the most part, they're comfortable and they're safe. They've never been hungry, or they've forgotten what hunger feels like. So they want to remain comfortable. They want to protect the status quo. Kwame Ture told us this. All right.
Although I will say, I do think Kamala Harris is in the middle of a very astroturfed honeymoon phase, and I still think that she's going to have a very uphill battle winning an election against Donald Trump.
I never.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right now, it is a honeymoon phase. It is a honeymoon phase. The sellouts have embraced her completely because they see themselves in her. Oh, look, she was willing to sell out our community and get to the top, all while pretending to represent us, to be for us. I want to do that. I want my kids to be able to do that. So I want her elected. So that path, that avenue to power is available to maybe not me directly, but I can live vicariously through her and hope that my children too will use their skin color to be a comprador, to betray their communities, their class. That is the dream of all these fucking sellouts. The misleadership. All right. Now, Anna Kasparian is going to be like, hold on, Libertarian. No. Absolutely not. Not in the home of mainstream progressives. Here we advocate for the police. We advocate for tough on crime because we're the home of mainstream progressives.
Never thought I would find myself in this position where I would disagree with a libertarian in regard to harsher prosecution, but I live in California, so I'm there. So when I look at Kamala Harris's record,
I live in California, and I'm not fucking there. I live in California, and I'm not fucking there, and I've never once in my life, from Anna Kasparian's fucking birth, lived in the level of comfortable wealth, hell, not even affluence, that she's ever lived through. Not in my worst, not at my best. Not at my worst or at my best. And yet, and I've had experiences from childhood that you would think, oh, why don't you fucking hate homeless people? Why aren't you a fucking racist? And it's like, because I'm not a fucking piece of shit. Because I understand that the things that I experienced, the individuals carrying out those actions were a byproduct of the environment that they were in. And that environment was purposely constructed, cultivated and arranged by the state to maintain black and brown people in this dog-eat-fucking-dog oppression in order for us to harm each other. And I was very lucky. I mean, the things I'm talking about, I didn't come in any direct danger. I was just in and around danger briefly, very fucking briefly. You'll never hear me try to hype up anything about me. I consider myself so fucking lucky and fortunate. Mainly because we did leave those more dangerous and hard places. There was a price for that. There was a price, a psychological toll paid for leaving, a physically dangerous place. And that's fine. I'm very fortunate for that. I could handle that. Who knows where the fuck I would be if y'all knew about me and my circumstances and my childhood and how I came to be. I am a fucking outlier to the statistics Never been locked up. Don't have any fucking kids. Shit. I supposedly have a degree in something. Excuse me, I have a degree in fucking student debt is what I got. And yet Anna Kasparian, who looks, oh my God, you're talking about her looks? Oh, that's sexism. The fuck out of here. All right. You can't be sexist towards fucking white women the same way you can't be racist towards white people. How about that? New fucking rule right here. She looks like she belongs on fucking Fox News, bro. She looks like it, and guess what? She fucking sounds like it. So if it fucking looks like a duck and it walks like a duck, you're a fucking reactionary. And ducks are some vile fucking creatures, so fuck them too.
As a prosecutor, and I'm now currently living through a situation in which we have a district attorney like George Gascon refusing to prosecute even some of the most violent crimes.
She's living through it, guys. She's fucking living through it. Like if she's talking about living through a fucking war zone. You know what she's living through? Sidestepping shit in the sidewalk when you're walking in LA. Oh, the horror. Oh, fuck. You know why you end up stepping on that shit, Anna Kasparian? Because you got your nose stuck in the fucking clouds.
I think I would take the Kamala Harris prosecutor from the early, the 2010s versus what we're experiencing now. But I'm really curious.
Okay, let me replay that so you understand what she's saying here. Let me go back a little bit because I paused it quite a bit.
I would disagree with the Libertarian in regard to
Still think that she's going to have a very uphill battle winning an election against Donald Trump.
From the top.
I never thought I would find myself in this position where I would disagree with the Libertarian in regard to harsher prosecution, but I live in California, so I'm there. So, when I look at Kamala Harris's, record as a prosecutor, and I'm now currently living through a situation in which we have a district attorney like George Gascon refusing to prosecute even some of the most violent crimes. I think I would take the Kamala Harris prosecutor from the early, the 2010s versus what we're experiencing now. But
So what she's saying and what she tries to laugh off of, already embracing the Kamala Harris, vibes there. What she's saying is, no. I would rather people get locked up for nonviolent crimes. I would rather, because Kamala Harris did this, district attorneys refuse to take in evidence that would exonerate someone, proving that they were innocent, refuse to acknowledge it. Somebody who would force inmates to be used as cheap labor and even, to put out fucking wildfires. I would rather embrace authoritarianism through tough on crime than see my neighborhood, than see colored people in my block, and not the good ones, that are my neighbors who refuse to speak Spanish and are articulate, but the poor colored folks, right? Because she would say folks. The poor colored folks that remind me that I have never done anything and will never do anything to actually combat oppression. I will mouth the words. I will say the right fucking lingo. But I will never actually care about these people enough to risk how comfortable I am. And if they dare disturb my comfortability, I will turn on them and I will embrace Kamala Harris, tough on crime, and see them incarcerated, to no longer see them on my block. That's what she's saying. I would rather nonviolent criminals be locked up and held for longer and forced to do dangerous jobs for fucking pennies than feel uncomfortable in my block. That's what she's saying. And that's why she has to laugh it off, because she's like, holy fuck, she hurt herself. She hurt herself. She began by saying, I can't believe that I'm to the right of a libertarian, but here I am. And then she laughs at her own ridiculousness, her own inhumanity, to say, no. Lock these fuckers up because they're disturbing my peace. They're disturbing my comfortability, the elegant life that I've always dreamt of living, away from poor and working class people. But I will continue to profit speaking about poor and oppressed people. Because that's what fucking liberals do. That's what liberals do. They're fucking predators. They're predators. They will tell you, they will lure you, they will groom you into thinking that they're your allies, that you have a common enemy. But the moment that you start to realize, hold on, you're in alignment with them. When shit hits the road, when shit hits the fan, when shit hits back, you're in alignment with them. I see you for what you are. That's when they're like, oh, you're just a fucking tanky. You're just an extreme leftist. And then they fucking abandon you and turn your back on you. Can't fucking trust them. Thank you, Lulu. Yeah, I never say this, but I'm going to start saying it. Fuck it. Let's get into it. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here. And again, a reminder, do not feed the streamers, do not feed the podcasters, do not feed the video essayists. This should be a hobby, not a fucking career. Look what happens. Please look what happens when you give these fucking opportunists your hard-earned money. They turn into Kasparian. Is that what you want? Is that what you want for your favorite YouTuber, your favorite Twitch streamer? Do you want them to turn into Kasparian? Or maybe they're like Hassan Piker and they always were an Kasparian. I appreciate it, Lulu. Thank you for reminding me. All right, let's go a little further.
I'm really curious what you think about that issue overall, right? Like right now, California seems to be taking a more libertarian approach when it comes to things like open air drug markets, when it comes to all sorts of crime, including, lowering the penalties from felony to misdemeanor, things like domestic violence, including strangling your partner, that kind of stuff. Like, do you think that's the correct approach, or would you want to moderate that?
No, that's crazy. It's like
She supports Genocide Joe, just to be very clear. But even Ole, what was her name? Ole. I'm blanking on her last name. But even Ole called out TYT, the Young Turks, named after a genocidal group. Even she called out this type of fucking propaganda that they push. This fear-mongering. The sensationalism. No different than your local fucking Fox News channel, where they will pick the most extreme things, the outliers, and say, you see, this is happening every day, all the fucking time. This is occurring in your neighbor's house. And the state refuses to do anything about it. And that's why we have to support the police. And don't forget, they have to nominate a fucking Donald Trump Jr. Because that's who they were supporting for California. I'm blanking on this motherfucker's name because thankfully he fucking lost. But that's who TYT is. That's who Anna Kasparian is. No. She's too smart for that. She will not take. She's seen what happened to Dave Rubin, who's on the Daily Wire, also TYT alum. And she realizes that she's not charismatic enough, like Jimmy Dore, a TYT alum. So she's like, well, instead of leaving TYT and trying to cash in on my own show through one of these right-wing channels, whether it's the Daily Wire or Fox News, what she's doing is I'm going to continue to embrace the right-wing populist turn of the Young Turks. Because slowly but surely, through Cenk's lard of greed, as it peels and falls away, we're getting to his reactionary core. We're getting to his reactionary core. That's always been there. It's the reason why he continues to hire these graduates, those that leave TYT and become right-wing commentators. What is a common factor amongst all of them? It's that Cenk Uygur hired them. You're not seeing socialist communists coming out of the Young Turks. You're not seeing that. Hassan Piker took Cenk Uygur's blueprint of saying, oh, there is a hole in the market in the media space for something to the left of the Democratic Party. That's what TYT was originally. Well, not even originally, because originally they tried to be like shock jock radio shit. But once it got rolling through embracing left of the Democratic Party, Hassan Piker sees that, all right, I've just got to be left of the so-called progressives and feign to be a socialist. Well, cashing in. Just like Cenk Uygur cashed in and is an anti-union progressive or mainstream progressive now, I get. Sorry. Yes, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. Resty Casadiniv. I did not pronounce that right. I know that for sure. So I apologize there. I really don't know what was Cenk thinking when he named the show this. Anna is Armenian, by the way. Oh, yeah. Thank you for coming in. But literally, I was just saying that a while ago. Cenk Uygur purposely named the Young Turks after the initiators of the Armenian genocide. We knew that he was a Turkish nationalist, true Turkish patriot. We knew that he was an Armenian genocide denier. And so he hired Anna as a token to cover his ass. And he didn't admit, he didn't denounce his Armenian genocide denialism until it became politically unsustainable. Fox are also pretty sexist. Very rarely women get big shows on their far right. Brett Cooper was Daily Wire invention. Only Candace Owens is a far right female pundit making a lot of clout by herself. Yes, and it's because she was a black woman. The right has always weaponized race the same way that liberals do. But Anna Kasparian has what Dave Rubin initially had until he became so desperate and idiotic that he dropped the facade and came out as a conservative or a classical liberal first and then a conservative. But it's that she's part of the left. She had a show with Michael Brooks. There has never been an individual more glorified, and that's what we call him, our great white saint. I'm telling you, I'm going to print out and get una vela. I'm going to get a candle for our white saint savior, Michael Brooks. This fucking moron, who was funny, we'll never deny that. It was humorous. This fucking moron actually embraced Anna Kasparian, thinking that somehow she was a good fucking person, And B, part of the fucking left. Part of the left. So all those individuals that fucking cry and shed tears for Michael Brooks, no, sweeties, sweet children, he would have fucking betrayed you as well. And I know this for a fact because I had the opportunity to meet him in person. I spoke to him. And I asked him two simple questions. Do you support the total liberation of Palestine? Decolonization? He said yes. He said yes, so he was already to the left of like the neo-nativist, like Ben Burgess. He was already to the left of Sam Cedar, a Zionist. And so I was like, all right, cool. I said, do you support land back here? Do you support the indigenous people here in this land to self-determination and control over all their land? Oh, well, that's different. And I was like, okay. So I get into that. I was younger. Debate mode. Let's fucking get into it then. Shuts me down, says, hey, you know what? There's a lot of other people here. Email me. And for me back then, when somebody tells me email me, I was not going to follow up. Because for me, that's just then tell me to fuck off in a professional, polite manner. So I was unwilling to play those games. Now as I'm older, not only am I giving individuals the benefit of the doubt, because I hate miscommunication, but also I would have loved to have that on record. I would have loved to have that on record. Me hitting him up and him ignoring me and providing the entire context. I have a photo, so it's not like I'm making this shit up. His sister was actually really fucking sweet. His sister was really fucking genuinely a sweet person. And despite our disagreements, and him kind of brushing me off, he was very polite. I mean, even the way that he told me to fuck off was technically very polite. Email me. But at least he didn't start fucking shaking like Ben Burgess when he got confronted. Brooks is very lightly pushing back on Sam's support for occupation of Afghanistan. Yeah. Maybe I didn't follow them back then like that. Yes, way before my time. This is 2016, 2017, when it was clear that no objective were even met, even from an imperialist standpoint. There were moderates and libertarians who wanted troops out of there, and Sam was supporting Obama. Thank you for bringing this up. If you remember the name of any of the videos from that time, please leave it on the comments. I'll look it up. Sam Cedar is one of the biggest fucking frauds and the most respected individual, one of the most respected individuals on the online left. There's videos of him essentially debating with, let me make sure I get the name right because right now I'm banking out. He passed away out. Glenn Ford from Black Agenda Report. I apologize. I was making out his name. There's a video. Let me pull it up. Because there is no fucking excuse for why Sam Cedar continues to support the Democratic Party other than self-preservation. Here we go. Let me share this real quick. Fuck, I did not want to do 2 hours today, but it looks like we're staying for 2 hours. Glenn Ford, Obama, a more effective evil. Glenn Ford, Obama, a more effective evil. You see right there, this is from 11 years ago. This is from 11 years ago, over a decade. For over a decade, Sam Cedar has known, he was told directly by Glenn Ford, from Black Agenda Report, who sadly has passed away. He was told directly the Democratic Party's style of evil and why it's more effective. We'll go over this video at some point because it perfectly highlights that for over a decade, Sam Seder has known this and still advocates for the Democratic Party, still supports them. And it highlights how Joe Biden can literally conduct a genocide through Israel against Palestinians, and Sam Seder will still tell you to re-elect him. This is the online left. This is the online left. Sam Seder is universally respected on the online left. There's not a single individual on the online left that does not respect Sam Seder to some degree. And y'all wonder why I felt like I had to fucking start this channel. %. Glenn Ford. I wish I would have engaged with his work when he was alive. But I was just a mere child. I was just uneducated and unaware. Sam just wants to be able to go on MSNBC. Yeah. The fact that he threw a fucking tantrum when he got fired for a raunchy joke that he made instead of being a real motherfucker, doubling down and saying, go fuck that, I don't need MSNBC. Of course not. Of course not. These liberals are fucking sellouts. But we'll go over it because it's a long video too. It's a 28-minute video. Fuck, I really do want to go over it right now. Should we go over No. On Mondays, we do the book reviews. If you're new here, we're on Chris Edge's American Fascist, the Evangelical Right, and the War Against America. We're still on chapter 1. We're still on chapter 1. I have confessed. The next Monday has to be the last fucking stream on chapter 1. We gotta move on. On Wednesdays, Trash Wednesdays, we'll go over, the quote unquote like the prominent news. And I say trash only because it will be things like this, like Anna Kasparian. We'll talk about Sam Seder. We'll talk about more serious things. But predominantly, it's going to be this, calling out liberals. So Trash Wednesdays. And Fridays, I want to do just focus on one single article. One single article. I already know what I want to do for this upcoming Friday. Little teaser, it'll be this. Let me put this up. This who actually did it on Mondo Weiss. What's his name? Yes, yeah, he did. Fucking it. All right, this who's from the West Bank, and he's constantly on millennials are killing capitalism. The question of Hamas and the left. This is what we'll be going over on Friday. This is from May 31st. So if y'all want to jump on that, kind of give it a glance or read it in its entirety. We're going to read it word for word. So yeah, that's on Friday. Questioning the question of Hamas and the left. But we need to, man, I think streaming more than 3 times a week is insane. Yeah, 3 times a week sounds good. Yeah, I appreciate it. The channel slowly but surely growing. I'm investing in this with the lighting and trying to figure things out. At some point, I'll get a better camera. Although I like this one, it's a little grainy. I like that because, hey, soy feíto, güey. Soy feíto, so I like this. But I'll invest in this. And guess what? You know how I'll invest in this? You know how I'll get the money to invest in all this? Not by fucking embracing the parasocial relationships with y'all. Not by making false promises, but by picking up OT. By saving money. by putting money on the side, by doing a little fucking side hustles the Eddie Guerrero way. You already know. I'm doing what I got to do. So invest in this because I'm enjoying this and I appreciate y'all for being here. We're at 306 subscribers. I just want to get big enough to where these motherfuckers can no longer ignore me, so that their audience knows and have to confront the truth. The fact that these are just reactionaries with the proper language to fool them into thinking that they're on the left. That's all I want. Is that too much to fucking ask for? That when I talk shit, they're forced to fucking hear it. They don't have to acknowledge it. I doubt they will. There's a reason why my debate with Sam Cedar, when I call him out for being a liberal Zionist and trying to redefine anti-Zionism, for calling out Emma Vigeland when she stated, when people ask, does Israel have the right to exist? She said, of course it does, because it does exist. But they claim to be allies of Palestinians. Fuck out of here. But he didn't clip that out. He didn't post that. He did not post that debate, even though he's constantly on his fucking knees begging libertarians and right-wingers to call in. So much so that he gives privileges to anybody calling through Rumble. Guess what I'm going to fucking do? Homie, I'll max out the number of Google numbers you can get to continue to call out that motherfucker. Because to his credit, because I'm honest, to his credit, he doesn't screen his phone calls. But what he does do is consistently go back to the same area codes and numbers. That's why he has regular callers. And he blacklists certain numbers. The first time I called in to the Majority Report, and we got into it about him working at MSNBC, and forced him to acknowledge the Noam Chomsky quote about if corporate media is hiring you, it's because they know that you can be used as controlled opposition, essentially, against the working class. He posted that one. It got over 100K views. This was long before my channel. He posted that one. But I could never get through again with my cell phone number. So the last time, the video that he didn't post that's on this channel, I used my house number. So I know that's going to be out again. So yeah, I'm going to have to use a Google number or go through Rumble or do something. Because these motherfuckers are advocating for 4 more years of genocide by advocating for Genocide Joe and supporting now Kamala Harris. A fucking hour in, y'all, and we're not even done with the first video. Just a little bit more and we'll wrap up here, though.
I'm a big believer in peaceful parenting. Like, I don't believe in spanking or hitting your kids. And I'll talk about that sometimes. And then the responses from people who disagree with that will often be like, oh, so what? You can't instill any values in your kid? And it's like, no, the choice isn't between like hitting your kid or abandoning your kid. Like, there's some middle ground there. Mm-hmm. And so, the kind of what a lot of the progressive prosecutors ran on, campaigned on, sounded kind of libertarian. And I think there were a lot of fair criticisms they made of the previous generation of prosecutors, like the idea of like throwing people in jail for pot or even dealing pot, you know what I mean? Like is like, and giving these crazy sentences. I mean, there's still people, in your state who are serving life sentences for marijuana, even though someone's got a dispensary open, a few blocks away from where the prison is or whatever. And so essentially, like, as a libertarian, my view is that the role of government, if there is a role for government, is the protection of people and property. And so what you had in the kind of Reaganite, Clintonite era, it was this like authoritarian crackdown on essentially non-violent, victimless crimes.
And that's what Anna Kasparian wants. That's what she's hoping from a Kamala Harris administration, so that she could feel safe again. AKA, I don't have to see poor black and brown people suffering on my block anymore. I'd rather them be locked up, put behind prison bars, and go through the torment and torture of the American industrial prison complex than for me to be forced to interact with them in any way, shape, or form. To me, for her, it's like she doesn't even want to acknowledge them, to recognize their existence if it's not on a screen on the monitor that she's profiting off of.
Where people were getting crazy drug sentences. And then the progressive prosecutors were like, hey, we don't want to do that. And even things like bail reform or something like that, at least to some degree can make sense. Like, look, it is kind of unfair that like, if you can raise the money, you get out. But if you can't raise the money, you can't get out. That doesn't exactly seem just. But then they took that and went, okay, so also we're not going to prosecute property crimes. We're essentially going to, like as you were getting at with the domestic violence stuff, like quasi decriminalize some violent crimes, give out tickets for shoplifting, and then just allow the public streets to be completely overrun with homeless people and drug users and things like that. And to me, none of that has anything to do with libertarianism or just common sense. I mean, that's just like a recipe to destroy whatever area you live in. So I would like to see, like, I think there should be enforcements against carjackings and shoplifting and things like that. These are not victimless crimes, and those should be illegal. And certainly choking your girlfriend or something like that should be extremely illegal with serious consequences. And I don't believe that homeless people should be allowed to set up encampments on public property. Public property is something that everybody has been forced to contribute to the creation and maintenance of. And so therefore people should have some right of some say over what goes on there.
All right, so he's saying a lot. He's rambling here, which is fine. Because at least for the first half of that, he was to the left of Kasparian. But then we see his true libertarian colors, and he's like, well, I care essentially about property. I will put property over the desperation of those who have been failed by this capitalist society. And it always goes down to this. It always comes down to this. The way that people talk about and treat and want to address homelessness tells you everything you need to know about them. Even Dave Smith here is saying, well, I don't want them camping out in my parks. So you just want them to die in silence. You just want them to go back living under bridges. So you go bypass them and not have to acknowledge how society has failed individuals. You just want to go about your day. And you want to pretend that the world is this beautiful place, that everyone is as privileged and as lucky and as fortunate as you. And when you have to acknowledge the people who aren't, you're fine with that as long as you don't have to be around them, as long as they don't invade your reality, as long as they don't invade your day for too long. You can see them in the highway, you could point at them, you could carry on, you could shake your head like, oh, that's too bad. Hell, you might throw them $1 their way when you pull up. Probably not, he's a libertarian. When you pull up to the freeway entrance or exit. But the one thing that you will not stand for is to see desperate people, other human beings, in places that you feel belong to you as a place of leisure, a joyous place, a park, where you can go back to your childhood and remember when things were easier. As an adult, you don't want to see, and you don't want your kids to see, if you have any, the reality of how desperate people are, that they're forced to live in a fucking park. You don't want that. So no way, shape, or form do I want to be misunderstood, and anyone thinking that I am, throwing a parade or congratulating Dave Smith. I will use libertarians, right-wingers, Republicans, reactionaries, whatever, to highlight either the hypocrisy or the way that liberals, sock dams, progressives, whatever the fuck they want to call themselves, Democrats, actually either align in the right wing views or are further to the right than these individuals that we understand and we recognize to be a threat, and at the very least, fucking scums. That is the purpose of this. That is the purpose of this. I used to watch and read Polystrum articles until October 7th from Resty. Again, apologize for mispronouncing your name. When I saw communists saying both sides are bad, I just couldn't. Because those aren't communists. Those are typically individuals that call themselves communists and oppose decolonization. They're just nationalists. They're social nationalists. That's what they are. I appreciate it, Lou. After this, Anna could only get away with being quote unquote better if she asked him if he believes in the age of consent. That's actually coming up, and that's the reason why I haven't stopped this video, because there is a funny moment about that. Oh yes, the goddamn homeless bourgeoisie forcing me to pay their landlord fees for crossing the sidewalk. True oppression. To be a pedestrian. Except shoplifting numbers have been overblown. Even the New York Times admitted that big corporations rigged the numbers by 100 times. Yes. Yes, 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 absolutely. And listen, I might be a hater, but I'm not a fucking liar. The Majority Report has done a great job at highlighting this. However, they will go after somebody like a right winger, like Actual Justice Warrior, but they will tiptoe. They will tiptoe. They will be sly and smooth with it and gently criticize somebody like Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur, their former business partners, because they're fucking cowards. Because if you're speaking truth, you speak it to everyone. If you're confronting and exposing lies and this, propaganda bullshit, this corporate propaganda meant to cause fear and to excuse how they're raising the prices on everything. If you're calling that shit out, you're calling everybody out that does it. You should not differentiate just because, oh, well, they claim to be on the left. Oh, well, they were my former business partners. Oh, actually, we share viewers and subscribers, and we share a community, an online community. I don't want to risk losing any Patreon subscribers. I need those fucking super chats. Because at the end of the day, it's all about business. If it wasn't, they wouldn't be making a living off political commentating, aka sharing their opinions about politics. That's it. That's all it is. It's overhyped. It's overrated. Guess what? They've just been doing it longer, and they've been conning people out of money so they could afford a nice little fucking studio. And they'll still cry about not being able to afford a better studio in order to get your money. Absolutely. Right winger lies. Right wing lies. Okay. How many CVS stores closed in San Francisco, even though they were saying no shareholders? They have too many stores. Okay, so little typos there. Okay, yeah. So essentially, you're saying like, hey, like right wingers were saying, lying, spreading this propaganda that CVS was closing because of this insane shoplifting, when in reality they were just closing down stores to increase, the profits for shareholders. Yeah. Yep. And honestly, fuck CVS. I don't know what to tell you. Fuck CVS. All right. Let's go a little further because somebody brought up the age of consent, and Kasparian is going to touch on that. No pun intended.
But at the same time, just the only thing I'd push back on you is when you say like, oh, you'd rather go back to that world. I mean, I understand why I probably would feel the same way if I was living in California, but you sure wouldn't feel that way if it was like your kid or your brother or something like this who caught like a 30-year sentence over, something that should just be legal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're both bad options, essentially.
Yeah, I agree. I think one option has been.
No, you don't agree, because listen to what you're going to say. Listen to what she's going to say. You do not agree.
One option has been more disastrous than the other, and it's what we're currently experiencing in California. However, I totally agree with you that there was common sense criminal.
So, one is worse than the other. Y'all want to take a wild guess which one she thinks is worse than the other? She thinks having to live around, not among, but around poor black and brown people, drug addicts, homeless people. She thinks that's worse than those people being locked up for years. She truly thinks that it's better for them to be locked up than for them to be out in the streets. That's a right winger. That's a reactionary.
Criminal justice reform that everyone in this state was in favor of, which is why they voted in favor of a proposition called Prop 47 back in 2014. Everyone was under the impression that it was going to avoid prosecution of people with like a small amount of pot, that kind of stuff. But they kind of did a bait and switch where something voters did not know was going to happen. Again, they took felonies and they lessen them to misdemeanors. And by the way, that also includes things like child sex trafficking. It makes no sense to me whatsoever.
And there it is. To bring up child sex trafficking to a libertarian is fucking rich. One of the key fucking cornerstones of libertarian ideology is to either lower or completely rid society of the age of consent. It's a fucking meme. It's a fucking joke. And time again, they embrace it because they believe in it. Libertarians hate the age of consent. So you really believe that they're going to have a problem with this claim that you're saying that somehow California has allowed, legalized, or is not punishing child sex trafficking? Do you see the fucking Mad Max world that they're fucking painting about California? Fucking A. Karen Kasparian at her best. And there's another part here where they talk about Kamala Harris. I wanted to solely focus on this, on the way that she continues to advocate for authoritarian policies to treat homelessness and poor black and brown people. But there's a part in here where they talk about Kamala Harris and about race and this and that. And Dave Smith says, well, not to sound like a liberal, because I do think it's been overplayed, like the race card, like everybody gets called racist for any little thing. And Kasparian's like, yeah, I agree. This is a woman that said that she feels uncomfortable around black and brown people because she might be called a racist. If you're uncomfortable around black and brown people for any fucking reason, you are a fucking racist. And if the reason is that you're concerned about being called a racist, you are without a fucking doubt a racist. All right, let's fucking move on. We spent way too much time on that. That's the whole fucking show right there. Show. Yeah, fucking right. The stream. All right. Let's go for another 45 minutes. Fuck it. Who needs fucking sleep when you have caffeine? I can't drink anymore. I cannot drink any more caffeine. It's too late. I'm too fucking old. Can't do it. That hair bleach will fuck up your brain. It went straight to the skull. The Aryan fucking coloring of the blondness went straight into her fucking membrane. As bad as Florida is, at least the age of consent is 18. For now, brother. For now. Libertarians are just Republicans who don't want to be called racist. I don't even know, man. Libertarians are just fucking weirdos. Like, I don't know. Republicans got stuck with the label of being weird. But libertarians like originated. Like, that was their fucking label. Fucking creeps and weirdos. Well, I guess Republicans are weirdos, or they're just weird, and libertarians are creeps. That makes sense. Yeah. All right. We're done with Karen Kasparian there. Yeah, let's do this real quick. Where are we at? White guys for Harris. I seen a good article about this here. Okay, here we go. So fucking annoying and so fucking embarrassing. Here we are. White Dudes for Harris is the latest in a series of Zoom gatherings backing the vice president. On a White Dudes for Harris virtual call, it was probably fitting that the dude dropped in. Actor Jeff Bridges addressed a fundraising event geared towards white men supporting Vice President Kamala Harris and sang her praises on Monday night before channeling his iconic role as the dude, declaring, "As the dude might say, that's just my opinion, man." I fucking love The Big Lebowski, so this is truly, truly heartbreaking. Maybe the most tragic thing I've ever experienced in my life. I'm gonna need a minute. Moment of silence. All right. The call lasted more than 3 hours, and organizers said it attracted 180,000 plus people who donated more than $3.7 million. It was the latest in a series of Zoom gatherings to raise money and rally support among tens of thousands of supporters for Harris after President Joe Biden announced he was leaving the presidential race and endorsing her. Zooms have previously been organized by supporters, backgrounds including Black women, Hispanic women, Black men, Asian Americans, Native Americans, and the LGBTQ plus community. It reflected how Democrats, including Biden, have frequently relied on voters from broad and desperate backgrounds to piece together a diverse coalition of support. The president's 2020 victory, for example, relied on segments of the population ranging from organized labor to conservative suburban women disillusioned with Republican Donald Trump. The White Dudes Zoom event also featured appearances from actors Mark Ruffalo, of course, Mark Hamill, who's a fucking Zionist, and Bradley Whiteford, who deadpanned about so many white male speakers being a rainbow of beige. Isn't it just so wonderful when they, acknowledge the issue? Because then it somehow erases any fucking problem. If you yourself, that's what people love to do now, acknowledge the problem. If you say it out loud, it fucking washes away the issue. It cleanses you from changing. And I fucking hate that. Especially like the fourth wall breaks. Fuck. Never playing for this. decline that. All right, where were we? Also participating. Also participating were Democratic officials, including Transportation Security Secretary. Excuse me. He might as well be security, because what the fuck has he done? Pete Buttigieg, Tim Walz, and JP Pritzker, all of whom have been mentioned as potential Harris running mates. Pritzker joked that he wouldn't normally attend an event with a name like White Dudes for something, while Buttigieg talked about what an honor it was to share a call with Bridges as a dude before striking a more serious tone. Men are also more free in a country where we have a president who stands up for things like access to abortion rights. It's funny because it's like, to try and censor men in the abortion conversation is already fucking hilarious. Because it's like, come on, guys. Come on. Don't you want her to don't you want to avoid paying child support? Like, is that the argument? But, and let's be frank about it, to hear a gay man try and pitch this, try and censoring men in the abortion conversation, that's just fucking priceless. That's just fucking priceless. That's just fucking awesome. Oh, well, why couldn't he? No. What I'm saying is, to just simply try and censor men in the abortion conversation is already fucking stupid and just reflective of how these fucking white dudes have to make everything about themselves. So much so that the individual carrying out this message is a white gay man who is, in every fucking sense of the word, completely removed from the abortion issue. That's how fucking shameless they are. That's how fucking stupid this is. All right. So I appreciate I appreciate it, Meg. Fucking running late like always, and the stream is gonna go a little longer than I wanted it to. But you know how I get fucking distracted. I knew the meeting was here. Yeah. Exactly. We're gonna try making this fucking channel as wide as the Majority Report, who are in Brooklyn, who are out of Brooklyn and have the widest fucking cast imaginable. What's next for Cardinales for Kamala? Sorry, Cardinales. Cardinales for Kamala. Yeah, that's a little tongue twister there. That's very undude of the dude. Fuck yes, it is. Yeah, fuck all this shit. That's why they want to play the video, because it's even more heartbreaking hearing him do that. But he's a Hollywood fucking elite. Like, what do you expect? Walt said Trump supporters aren't inherently bad people, but urged participants don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness. What do you have to do with socialism? What do you have to do with socialism? Nothing whatsoever. But because the right labels you that, you feel that you have to like water it down to make it acceptable for, the rest of America. And that's what Bernie Sanders did. Bernie Sanders, normalized democratic socialist, but what he really is a social nationalist. That's why he's a Zionist. That's why he supported Biden's fucking draconian fucking border policies. But yeah, essentially, here's the issue. Ross Morales, Rocketo, a progressive operative who founded the Dudes group, said, "We know that the silent majority of white men aren't MAGA supporters. referring to Trump's Make America Great Again movement. And here's the issue with that. Yes, they are. Yes, they fucking are. The same way that a large number of white women are Trump supporters. Here is my main issue with this white dudes for Trump. We see how the whole DEI conversation is going. Oh, Kamala Harris is a DEI hire. DEI is just a racist dog whistle at this point. However, she is by definition a DEI hire. Somebody who ran for president and knew she couldn't even win her own state, so dropped out early. And Joe Biden knew that he needed to flip the script on the Obama-Biden ticket, meaning Biden-Harris. He needed a black face in second place in order to win, especially after going on the attack on Bernie Sanders for, not being cautious enough. And it started with Hillary about, race issues. Well, now we know why. It's because Bernie Sanders was fucking Zionist, so he's inherently a white supremacist, right? Again, a social nationalist. Here's the issue. When liberals weaponize race in order to sidestep and not address class concerns, is that you're opening the floodgates. You're opening the floodgates for white supremacists to come out in full force, which is fine, which is how I like my white supremacy, out front, blunt, in your fucking face. However, when they do that, we fucking start normalizing and ignoring the racism of the Democratic Party. We start ignoring and normalizing the racism of the Democratic Party. When we see the Proud Boys fucking marching, you're not thinking about the fact that the Biden administration increased funding for the police. You're not thinking about shit like that because you're concerned about the immediate threat of these, white ring reactionary movements. So my concern is, well, what happens now that you have white dudes for Harris? Now it's going to raise this racial fervor, which is what the Democratic Party wants, because that's how they increase their donation numbers. They're egging on and hoping that the Republicans say, oh, okay, bet. We'll match you, white dudes for Trump. White women for Trump. And we've seen how let me see if I can find this video real quick. White people, white women specifically, are here saying, oh, we need to embrace our whiteness. We need to embrace our whiteness. Oh my God, we need to embrace our whiteness. We are white, and we need to use that privilege in order to make space. Is it here? Let me see if it's here. Yes, it is here. Okay. Let's watch this real quick. And this one says something fucking ridiculous. Also hilarious, and I'm going to start embracing this.
1.5 million followers, is here to help gentle parent us through this election.
Already infantilizing themselves. White people, more specifically white men, but white women do this when they're put in these type of situations. Gentle parenting. Oh, we're just a small being. Oh, we're just innocent. We don't even fucking know about anything. We don't know about the world. We need to be babied. we don't know about our actions. We just don't know. And it's like, bro, shut the fuck up. Yes, you do know. You've understood this and you've known this since you were young, and you've weaponized it. And now you want to act innocent. Now you want to say, well, if I vote for a black woman, I'm not racist, and that's all I got to do.
Is here to help gentle parent us through this election.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I am
Oh, I
so
hate her.
honored to speak today. I am like shaking to just be among such incredible company. We are here because, as if you were here earlier, you've heard BIPOC women have tapped us in as white women to step up, listen, and get involved this election season. This is a really important time, and we all need to use our voices and influence for the greater good. No matter who you are all influencers in some way. So tonight, I'm going to share some do's and don'ts for getting involved in politics online and navigating the toxicity that comes with it. And spoiler alert, as much as the toxicity can come from the outside, it can come from us too. So first, don't isolate yourself.
Real quick. I hate spoilers. Like I will give the most vague description of a movie that I'm recommending because I hate spoilers so much. I will refuse to spoil something for anyone. I hate spoilers. The one thing I hate more than things getting spoiled for me or spoiling things for others is when somebody uses the phrase "spoiler alert." It enrages me. Tell me Benjamin Button dies as a fucking baby. Ruin things for me before hearing this. Like, I can't even vocalize and verbalize. And I know it's gonna be like, oh, you're a sexist. I'm like, I don't give a fuck who says spoiler alert. I mean, thing Zoolander, Earth to Zoolander, like that shit it's the same fucking thing for me. They're equivalent, equally frustrating. I skip through that fucking scene every time.
So first, don't isolate yourself. We can do our best work when we're in community together like we are tonight, because the toxic feels smaller when we support each other.
Already the whole toxic shit. First of all, here in this fucking channel, we love toxicas. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. The fucking crazier the better, and excuse the ableist language. We'll keep the toxica. Second of all, the bastardization of community. Like I said, the org that I'm involved in, we're reviewing and going over rereading basic principles of Marxism, Leninism, a primer by Maria Sinson. And just through conversation, it came up about, the word community. And I'm like, it's a bastardized the same way that comrade is bastardized. It's overused and overplayed because liberals got a hold of it in order to feel fucking radical. They're not in fucking community. They're having a fucking Zoom meeting. And most of these individuals will never see or speak to each other again outside of maybe, advocating for the VP of genocide, Kamala Harris. That's not fucking community. At best, you're a cult for the Democratic Party and their bloodlust for Palestinians.
But don't make it about yourself. As white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes. If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals, or God forbid, correcting them, just take a beat. And instead, we can put our listening ears on.
I feel like she's acting like the character. I'm not talking about the actress. Like the character from the scary movie, like the original scary movies. Does she not remind you of the way that she would act? What's her fucking name? Anna Faris. Yeah, I don't know how many of these clips I could actually pull up. Please go back and rewatch the scary movies. And tell me she's not acting like her. Tell me she's not acting like Anna Faris. With her mannerisms, like her movement, like, oh man, it's fucking bad. She plays Cindy. She acts just like Cindy in this. I don't know. Is that sexist of me? I don't know. I need Emma Vigeland to tell me. Wait, just look at her mannerisms. Like, she did it earlier, but like, just look at. And we're gonna get into what she just said to her. Now watch.
And instead, we can put our listening ears on.
Tell me that's not Cindy. Like the. Oh my god! But look what she says. Look how fucking. How she's just belittling us.
Over or speaking
watch,
for
watch.
BIPOC positive changes. If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals, or God forbid, correcting them, just take a beat. And instead, we
Stop. I'm not accusing her of being racist, but like, look the way she said it.
them, just take a them, or God forbid, correcting them.
God forbid correcting them. God forbid, rolls her fucking eyes, correcting them. This is why I can't fucking stand them. Oh, white women? Yes. Because they're women? No. Because the perpetual fucking victimhood that they claim, even though they're only second to white men. And they've historically, and to present day, put black and brown, indigenous people, non-white people, including men, down in order to uplift themselves. You cannot tell me that when she's like, God forbid, rolls her eyes, correcting them, no black or brown person, no non-white person is out here saying, hey, white people, hey, white women, don't you dare correct us because that's white supremacy. So this is why I don't buy this. This is not legitimate, and this is white dudes for Harris, white women for Harris, is used to normalize liberal racism, and it's used in hopes to agitate the right for them to do their fucking dumbass racism. That's what it is. Dumbass, blunt racism. In order to normalize and keep liberal, that northern racism, digestible, acceptable, for you not to question it, to not push back on it. Because at least, it gets to the point to where you're not a fucking racist unless you're burning a cross on somebody's lawn. That you have to be that blunt that you don't recognize when Sam Cedar accuses Brianna Joy Gray of yelling at him in a debate, for yelling at her for 3 hours, and then he gets called out on it because the black woman, the black angry yelling woman stereotype. He's like, oh shit, okay, yelling at was the wrong word. Let's say she admonished me. Excuse me. Because that is a northern, the liberal, slick, racist style. To use the appropriate words to hide your racism. God forbid correcting them. God forbid correcting them. Those people. Because they can't even be corrected without them fucking freaking out, losing their mind, accusing us of being racist. So if they're wrong, if they say the fucking earth is flat, don't correct them because that's a microaggression. You don't want to get them riled up. You're going to get canceled, sweetie. Just don't even do it. Don't bother. Just nod along. It's fine. They're uneducated. They're uncivilized. There's no hope. There's no getting through them. That's what she's fucking like communicating here. One more time.
yourself privilege to make positive changes.
Right?
Yourself.
The language.
As white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes.
As white women, so they acknowledge, oh, I'm the big boogeyman, or the second biggest boogeyman. You have to acknowledge your privilege. Liberals adopt this language and bastardize it and use it to fit their ends and their needs. So if I acknowledge my privilege, it's cool. Everything's fine. If I use it to help you people, it's cool. It's fine. But I don't actually want to destroy the system, the white supremacist system that grants me these privileges. And I think privilege is like a watered down word to begin with. It should be supremacy. I have supremacy over you.
If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals, or God forbid, correcting them,
or God forbid, correcting them, please tell me if I'm fucking reaching here. But why would you word it that way? Why would you make that facial expression? Why would correcting somebody who is wrong be an issue? Speaking over them, sure. Speaking on their behalf, when you can't, you can support and advocate, but speaking for them, you know, because a lot of people, I mean, speaking over, speaking for is almost connected. But we've seen this. White people love to do it. Emma Vigeland did it to me. She did it to me. I was a victim of hers when she accused me of being anti-Semitic. And Sam Cedar was like, yo, what the fuck are you talking about? So yeah, white women love speaking for, you know, quote unquote, oppressed or minority people. But you kind of have to speak over somebody to do that as well. So it's 1A, 1B type shit. But what does correcting somebody have to do with anything? Like, they believe that we're incapable of being corrected, that we're so fucking emotional that we'll freak the fuck out because we're savages, that we're uncivilized. That's what I'm fucking hearing. The noise score mafia. Or sorry, yes. Thank you for that. That's fucking hilarious. Of course she is. That's why she's rolling her eyes, because she's having a little flashback. They say, you know that she's thinking of a specific canon event in her head when she was 1000% in the wrong. Yes, absolutely. I didn't even think of that. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yes, she's like, fucking shit. Maria was wrong about the origins of the margarita. And all I did was correct her. And my gosh, she blew up and never invited me to another fiesta again. I just fucking can't. And I've never figured out her fucking guacamole recipe till this fucking day. I have no fucking sympathy, compassion for white women. That is the greatest trick of white feminism, has been to make you think that they are fucking oppressed. They are not. They are oppressors. So call me a fucking sexist. Do what you gotta do. You're no fucking allies of mine. You have been, since day one, a danger to black and brown men. You have been the cause of our fucking death, our torture, our lynching. You have sexualized us. You have fetishized us. You have used us to meet your fucking ends. You are a fucking direct danger to us. And you weaponize your femininity to keep us in constant danger from your fucking barbarian, cave-dwelling, white male counterparts. So yeah. And don't you ever fucking dare correct me. Don't you fucking ever correct me. All right? Let it be known here and now. Don't fucking correct me ever. Holy shit, bro. They really think that we're like unfucking civilized hordes that we can't even handle being corrected. I fucking hate them so much. I hate all of them. All the orphans. We're doing JD Vance next, right? All right. Yeah. This is going by quick, but it's already 2 fucking hours, cabrones. Cabronas. But again, Noise Core Mafia, thank you for that. Because I keep picturing it. Like she's just like her being like, I just said the truth. I just said the truth. What does she want from me? Like that type shit. Like during brunch, and then all the other white friends like, I know, but you know how she gets. Like just tone it down. Just not right now. We'll talk about it later. Like in their separate group chat. Or you say the N-word and racial slurs because they're part of lyrics. It's fine if you put quotes around them. Okay. How do y'all feel about the fucking lighting? What's going on? What's going on with the lighting? We're doing something here or what? That motherfuckers got me watching videos on how to properly light shit. Still not working. I look fucking white. I feel the fucking power. This is going on too long. This is what happens. I get fucking deranged. Okay. Where is it? Maybe it's just on my... I don't know. Maybe it's just on my end. I can't do that on here, but you know what? I can't get it again. Oh, well. I'll fix the fucking lighting. I'll make it warmer. Shall see my fucking brown skin. I will request donations for being BIPOC. All right. JD Vance fucking hates cops. How awesome is that? You know what this reminds me when yeah. This is how you know that okay. Sophia Nelson is a public defender in Detroit, a graduate of Yale Law School, and a former close friend of JD Vance, the Ohio senator hoping to be the next vice president. Okay, so Vance is known for being a right-winger. Blah, blah, blah. He opposes opposition to marriage equality, opposes abortion, including in the case of rape and incest. He's aiming to criminalize gender-affirming care for minors. And all of this is in stark contrast to who Nelson knew. And they knew each other for like over a decade. Nelson shared the story that JD Vance made like these homemade baked goods when they were transitioning and they were going through surgery. The article goes on to say the friend who called Donald Trump a racist and morally reprehensible human being. These are some of the sentiments that came to the surface in the dozens of emails and text exchanges with Vance that Nelson shared with the New York Times. I love that level of fucking pettiness. I felt like I had a duty to speak out, tell the truth, so that voters can make an informed decision. Well, that he's a fucking hypocrite, two-faced liar willing to sell out his friends for power. Fuck. I'm glad the masses know. But here is, where is that fucking email? It's talking about their friendships, how long they knew each other. Sure. He's an opportunist. He had no fucking shit. We know this. That's what a politician is. But I'm looking for Do you worry about the kinds of policies he would push in this country if Trump Vance ticket wins? I certainly do. And that is why I'm speaking out. I worry about trans people's access to healthcare. We deserve to make decisions about our own bodies just like everyone else and to access the healthcare that we need. Agreed. Absolutely agreed. Unfortunately, Americans can't access fucking healthcare that they need. Women deserve, but that's not to say that we shouldn't advocate for trans healthcare, of course. Women deserve access to healthcare as well, which includes abortion. The Muslim community here in Metro Detroit deserves to feel safe and included. They are our neighbors. I'm trying to protect my community, and I also just want to stand up for decency, for treating other people the way that you want to be treated. If she fucking votes for Harris, though, she doesn't give a fuck about the Muslim community. And to me, that is a core Midwestern value. That's a fucking dog whistle for me, Midwestern values, but okay. I didn't share a faith with many of my neighbors. I didn't share a racial background with many of my neighbors. My mother is Chicana. That's the only reason why I read this section. And it didn't. Okay. And I didn't share politics with my neighbors, but we knew how to talk across those differences and to love one another and to be respectful. And now to hear him dismiss people that are different from him, the cat lady's comments, it breaks my heart because we should treat everyone with kindness. And I think that is what I'd like to see our politicians return to. When the fuck were they there? But here's the thing. The cat lady's comment is the most gentle fucking like roast, criticism, joke, hate, whatever the fuck you want to call it, that JD Vance has done. But because it kind of like encompasses white liberal women, that's why it's the fucking center of attention. The cat lady's comment. That's the fucking center of attention. When it's honestly a fucking throwaway line compared to all the other wild shit that he says. Where the fuck is the shit? I love when the pettiness. Great photo, no hate, and then they choose this mouth gaping. I like that shit. Yeah, fucking do it. Like humiliate them and make them look as bad as possible. Dope. I'm blinking out on where the fuck I saw this. I apologize, y'all. No, he talks about imagine how my experiences with okay. Here it is. Thank you for being patient with me, y'all. Throughout their decade plus of email and text exchanges, Vance and Nelson often spoke politics, with Vance at times taking political positions that are anathema to his current public persona. I was going to say anathema, including criticizing the police and denouncing Donald Trump. In October 2014, after the killing of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, Vance expressed antipathy towards some police tactics. I love the body camera movement and anything that puts cops back in the mindset of service and protection instead of control and coercion. Vance wrote, I hate the police. Given the number of negative experiences I've had in the past few years, I can't imagine what a black guy goes through. Vance's message, which embraces police reform, is at odds with the Trump's campaign sentiment regarding police officers. In May, the former president promised police immunity from prosecution and to give our police their power back. Yeah, because that's the one thing police don't have is power. So this is why I'm saying that he might be the biggest fucking hypocrite. Because Obama did not believe any of the leftist, liberal, mumbo fucking jumbo bullshit that he spewed. We've always known that. He always weaponized it. So he was never really a hypocrite. He was just the slickest fucking opportunist we had seen. Here, though, JD Vance is the biggest hypocrite because this right here is his true fucking feelings. The same way that he called Trump fucking Hitler over there, abhorrent and all these things. He truly fucking felt this way about cops, but was willing to turn on a dime for political power. So he is the biggest fucking hypocrite that we've seen. Definitely if the Trump Vance ticket wins. But this reminds me of what are these fucking cowboys? They had a standoff with brothers. The Bundy family. Thank you. Yes. Y'all remember this? Bringing it back to Black Lives Matter, since we're talking about police brutality against black people. Oh, I went back to the same one. My apologies. Y'all remember this? When the Bundy guys actually came out in support of Black Lives Matter in an effort to defund the police. If y'all don't remember the Bundys, there were this family who was taking their cattle on like basically national land, just like illegal, whatever the fuck. Rancher Amon Bundy, a freedom activist who led the 2016 armed occupation of the Mahler National Wildlife Refuge, expressed his support of Black Lives Matter movement to defund police in a recent YouTube video posted toward the end of July. In the video, Bundy said he had planned to attend a Black Lives Matter rally to support defunding the police near his home in Boise, but decided against going due to criticism of his stance and concerns of potential violence. Bundy spoke directly to those in opposition to defunding the police in the video. Quote, "You must have a problem in your mind if you believe that Black Lives Matter is more dangerous than the police," he said. "You must have a problem if you think Antifa is the one going to take your freedom. You must be hypnotized by the social media code words or by conservative talk show hosts." No, he said, defunding the police is what we should do. Defunding the police is not removing them all, it's just defunding them. All right. "It was the law enforcement who took my family to prison for 2 years and lied about almost everything, and it will be the law enforcement that strips this people of their unalienable rights," he said. "We have tyranny on one end and anarchy on the other. But I am much more concerned about tyranny than I am anarchy. I can handle anarchy, but I don't want to have to go against a standing army to defend my liberties." This is how they got famous, how they blew up. In this file photo, Amon Bundy right shakes hand with a federal agent guarding the gate at the Burns Municipal Airport in Burns, Oregon. Yes, stunning the acquittal of 7 people who occupied the federal bird refuge in Oregon as part of a Western land dispute was a rejection of the prosecution conspiracy case, not an endorsement of the armed protest, a juror said Friday. So yeah, they were occupying federal fucking land and they were armed and they met law enforcement armed. But it was fine because they were white. So during this time, we saw like a lot of like libertarian kind of right wingers go against the police for self-preservation. It wasn't some righteous thought process, all right? And that's why they were so quick to abandon it. And why even the Bundy character wasn't willing to actually go out and support. But he was willing to go out strapped against the fucking pigs. But these right wingers, these libertarians, these reactionaries view the police as a threat. Like he said, like I'd rather have anarchy because I know I can defend myself because I have the weapons, I have the land, I have the resources. But I don't want to go against a standing army that's going to limit my freedoms. They're concerned that the police is eventually going to turn on them. That there will come a time when the Bundys meet federal fucking agents armed, they're going to get fucking shot down. Always think of the whiskey rebellion. When it's white on white crime, the state, the white supremacist state, will fuck up the white working class just as badly as they would anyone else, as long as the other groups stay in their fucking place. When it's white people starting to act rowdy and everybody else is chilling, then we see them actually do something. It's been a while. But they get rid of us, poor white people, have to start taking a fucking licking. So JD Vance is a fucking fraud, through and through. He's a liar, he's a fucking opportunist, but this doesn't make him unique. This makes him a fucking politician. So we could see this and recognize this. Hey, we have the fucking emails. That's fine, but you should have known this already. Why is it that liberals are telling you, hey, look at this, look at these leaked emails? Isn't he a fucking hypocrite? But turn around and say, hey, forget about Kamala Harris' record as a prosecutor. Forget about her laughing about incarcerating people that nonviolent crimes, keeping them locked up for longer, forcing them to work for the state, laughing about incarcerating parents struggling to raise their children, being the vice president for a genocide. Again, helping the Democratic Party hide the fact that Joe Biden was fucking brain rotten. They're saying ignore all those things and vote for her. At the same time, saying, hey, don't ignore all of JD Vance's things. Because look, he's a two-faced fucking hypocrite liar. Yeah, no fucking shit. He is. But have that same fucking mentality. Keep that same fucking standard for the VP of genocide. Is that so fucking hard to ask, to have integrity and consistency and be principled? Okay, so here's what we're going to wrap up with. For the Fridays, well, real quick, if anybody's joining here, welcome. Like and subscribe and share this if you can. But more importantly, please remember, do not feed the streamers, do not feed the podcasters, do not feed the video essays. Not only is the left media space predominantly occupied by white, cis, able-bodied white men, but they're asking you for money for simply sharing their opinions. They're not organizing. They're not involved in union work. They're not even fucking volunteering. All they want is for you to pay for their fucking lifestyle, for them to hop on stream, share their fucking thoughts, talk out of their ass, because most of the time they don't do the fucking homework. They don't prep for this stuff. Not that I always do, but I'm not asking you for money because I don't think I'm fucking God's gift to the fucking earth, to the working class, and that everything I say is fucking gold and worth paying for. And I grew up worse off than them, and I'm struggling worse than they ever have. I didn't have the opportunities they had. So what the fuck is the difference? The difference is that they're opportunists. They're opportunists. That's the goddamn difference. They want to remove themselves from the working class and profit off of your suffering, your fucking struggle. So the only reason I want y'all to, tune in and subscribe is so I could get big enough to talk shit to them and they can't ignore it. and they can't ignore it. That's all I want. That's all I ask for. I don't want your money. That's cool. I'll work for what I need to get because you're working hard as fuck. I recognize that. I recognize that. I'm not trying to make a living off of this. I'm trying to talk shit to these motherfuckers. That's all. That's all I'm here to do. I understand that this isn't any type of revolutionary work. But if I could call out these liberals, I'm happy. So the Friday after next, I do want to dive into where's the articles I was looking at? They're on my phone. These ongoing the riots that Israel was experiencing as settlers, colonizers, were upset that their rapist fucking soldiers were being held accountable to any fucking degree for the brutality and the rapes that they are committing. I want to talk about that in depth. But that's why I want to save it for Friday, where it's just one article and we dive into the atrocities and what's on record. And hopefully by that time, by the Friday after next, there'll be more information available. But I feel that's a serious enough topic to where it requires more time. We're going to go through one article here briefly, just talking about two things. But let me just pull them up real quick. Or is it? Okay. Shoot. Nope. Commander. And here's the downside about looking up anything from Electronic Antifada is Google will not show you. Okay, it's this one. And one more. I need to get better at this. Okay. The other one's this one as well. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Just pull them up. We got it. I appreciate your patience for sticking around here. Let's go through this first and then we'll double back. Okay. Okay, so we'll talk about the attacks on Beirut first, and then we'll talk about their assassination of Hamas leadership. Israel attacks Beirut. Israel bombed southern Beirut on Tuesday with its military claiming that it targeted Fouad Shukr, a senior Hezbollah commander. Israel said that Shukr was killed, but Arabic language media said his fate remained unknown late Tuesday. The area around Hezbollah's Shura Council in the Haret neighborhood of the Lebanese capital was also hit. That country's state news agency reported. Lebanon's health ministry said that a woman and 2 children were killed, though the search for more missing persons under the rubble continues. Here is an image of the destruction. The apartment building in South Beirut has been decimated by what is said to be 3 missiles from an IDF drone. The strike that killed Hamas deputy chairman Salih al-Aruri in January left the building standing. This was meant to destroy it and take everybody with it. Israel's thing is mass casualties. they want to terrorize their victims. The Beirut strike took down a whole residential building, and the scale of the destruction may have been intended to reinforce the threats made by Israeli leaders to inflict the same genocidal violence in Lebanon that has been in Gaza. The strike in Beirut on Tuesday was an anticipated retaliation from Tel Aviv after a projectile killed 12 children at a sports field in Mashallah Shams, a city in the Israeli-occupied Syrian Golan Heights on Saturday. Israel blamed Hezbollah, but the Lebanese resistance group denied having any connection to the deadly blast. Yoav Gallant, Israel's defense minister, accused Hezbollah of crossing a red line, though it is highly unlikely that the Lebanese resistance group would have deliberately targeted Mashallah Shams. And from my understanding, in past instances where Hezbollah has, killed civilian children, they've owned it and they've said, yeah, we fucked up. And they've apologized for it. They're not doing this time. If they have a track record of actually having integrity and ownership of horrific fuck ups, of tragedies, and I'm being general here because I don't believe there's an innocent settler, the truth of it. But if they have the history of owning up to, what are perceived as tragedies, why would they change now? What would be different this time? And we know that Israel has the Hannibal directive. So how far are they willing to go in order to garner support for a larger scale war? I would not put it past them that they will sacrifice some of their colonizers, especially the younger ones, in order to further paint Hezbollah, Hamas as the villains. That's just my opinion, though. I mean, that's what you're all here for, right? Because it is what it is. And I could be completely wrong. Saad, an expert in Hezbollah, said that since the 8th of October, the group has refrained from targeting Israeli civilians, much less Syrian Druze. The strong support for the resistance movement among this community, which lives under Israeli occupation, makes it illogical for Hezbollah to risk taking this vicinity, from striking in this vicinity. She added, targeting civilians, whether Syrian or Israeli, wouldn't be strategically beneficial for Hezbollah when it would inevitably lead to an all-out war, a war which Hezbollah has been very keen to avoid, as demonstrated by its sub-threshold responses to Israeli strikes in Beirut and on civilians in Lebanon, according to Saad. She added, the group has been careful to avoid giving Israel any pretext for waging war, but it is entirely expected, that Israel would exploit the tragedy in order to deflect attention away from its daily massacre of Palestinian children in Gaza. And that is my concern, and that's why I'm like, wait a minute. Strategically, this doesn't make any sense. The same way that the accusation of mass rapes by the Palestinian resistance forces didn't make any fucking sense, because it's a military operation and they're trying to, secure their objective, which is to take out military bases, to take hostages in order to exchange for Palestinian hostages held by the Zionist entity. When would they have time to go out and mass rape? It never happened. We know this. We've known this, but now even the New York Times admits that mass rapes did not occur. But it was used as a pretext for the Zionist entity's genocide against Palestinians. And here, this is going to be used as a pretext for a larger scale war. Even though Hezbollah it's illogical for them to target this area. And they've been avoiding meeting Israel at their, level of violence. All right. So that was a Beirut situation. Here is No, this is what we just saw. Okay, this is the same situation. Okay. I doubled up on my sources there. Never hurts. But it's political. I want to encourage y'all to read the Electronic Antifada. Okay, so same article, just further up. Okay. So this is what we're talking about. We always have to put a face to the names. Ismail Haniha. Mispronouncing that, and I apologize. Hamas announced early Wednesday that Ismail Haniyeh, I'm sure it must be annoying that I'm mispronouncing that, and I apologize, the head of the Palestinian faction's political wing, was assassinated in Tehran, where he was present for the inauguration of the new Iranian president. The assassination in Iran, no less, marks a major escalation that will likely have regional ramifications and came hours after Israel bombed Lebanon on Tuesday evening, killing 3 civilians, according to Lebanese state media. Israel claimed that it killed a senior Hezbollah figure in the strike, but the Lebanese resistance group had not issued a statement on the matter at the time of publication. Israel killed multiple members representing multiple generations of Haniyeh's family in Gaza since October. Several leaders of Hamas have been assassinated by Israel before Haniyeh, only to be replaced and for the organization capabilities to grow. In January, Salah al-Arui, the deputy head of Hamas uh, Politburo, was killed in a strike in Beirut along with several other cadres and commanders with the group. 2 weeks ago, Israel claimed to have killed Mohammed Daif, the secretive head of Hamas armed wing, in a strike in Gaza that killed at least 90 Palestinians in an area it had unilaterally declared a humanitarian zone. Israel continued to wage attacks across Gaza by air, land, and sea amid heavy fighting and ground incursions on Tuesday. The Palestinian Health Ministry in Gaza said on Tuesday that 37 people have been killed in Israeli attacks over the past 24 hours, bringing the death total to 39,400 since early October. The actual number of fatalities is likely much higher, with thousands of people missing under the rubble or their bodies not yet recovered from Gaza's streets. The Israeli military withdrew from eastern Khan Yunis, the largest city in southern Gaza, on Tuesday following an incursion lasting 8 days and forcing another wave of mass displacement from the area. Palestinians returned to Khan Yunis to find evidence of what the government media office in Gaza described as horrific massacres, to which it demanded international accountability. Palestinian workers and civilians collected dead bodies from the streets of the abandoned battle zone, bringing corpses wrapped in rugs to morgues and cars and donkey carts, Reuters reported. The government media office said that the bodies of 255 people have been recovered and more than 30 others were missing. During the incursion, the Israeli military fired on 31 homes with the residents inside, as well as more than 300 other homes and residential buildings. The military also razed the cemetery in Bani Sahuli and its surroundings on the eastern outskirts of Khan Yunis.
هذه المقبرة كما نشاهد الجرافة مسحتها مسح. هذول القبور، حجارة القبور، المقبرة مسحينها مسح بالجرافة، ولا قبر على مكان. هذه قبور الميتين، حتى الأموات.
And this is tragic
لم
how
يسلموا
many of these fucking
من
videos
بطش
there are.
آليات الاحتلال. هذه مساحة كلها
Too many.
كما نشاهد بالكامل. مقبرة الشيخ ناصر ومقبرة بني سيلة هكذا أصبحت.
There was one I wanted to get a little bit more into detail. It's already mad fucking late for me. I'm not gonna even lie. Okay, it's this one. We'll just go over a little bit of this and then we'll head out, y'all. Hubris drives deadly Israeli gamble in Tehran. Among all human endeavors, war theorist Karl von Clausewitz long ago argued none more resembles gambling than war. The assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, head of Hamas political bureau, represents yet another throw of the dice by Israel, compulsively addicted to the use of deadly force for political ends. That, like the gambler's fever, dreams of riches are inherently improbable. While Israel has, unlike with some of its other recent high profile assassinations, reverted to no comment type, there seems little doubt who was behind the missile strike that struck a residence in Tehran, killing Hania and a bodyguard. The question then becomes why? Why now and what now? Israel has made no secret that any Hamas member is fair game, and from the perspective of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, stated war aims to destroy Hamas. The murder of senior Hamas leaders is consistent. The occasion and location, however, in Iran's capital, where Hania was visiting to attend the swearing-in ceremony of Iran's new president, Mossad Pezeshkian, shows Israel is willing to risk any kind of conflagration, including regional war, in order to carry on with and deflect from its genocide in Gaza. So this risk is I've been talking too much, yeah. This puts at risk any potential, even illusion of a ceasefire. And I recommend checking out this article and anything that Electronic Antifada puts out. They just had a live stream earlier today, and they do a great rundown of the events that are occurring, better than I can ever imagine doing. But again, you have to do the work, and you should be engaging and reading this stuff on your own. Forget about my opinion, me summarizing any of this. But the one thing that I do want to focus on is the fact that do not allow liberals to lie to you and saying, oh, wait, if we elect Harris, she's going to force the Zionist entity to compromise. There is no compromise. They're not going to falter. They're not going to stop. They're assassinating the people they're supposed to be negotiating with. They're assassinating the people in leadership positions in a desperate attempt to dismantle the resistance forces that they're supposed to be negotiating with. And they continue to do this, not understanding that no matter who is assassinated in leadership position, another will rise, because that's what happens when you're confronted with indigenous resistance. You're creating more and more revolutionaries, more and more resistance fighters by your own atrocities, by your own crimes, by the genocide that you're committing. You're guaranteeing that there will always be resistance, that you will always be treated as what you are, colonizers on Palestinian land, leaving them with no option but armed struggle. The same way that, Marxism claims that capitalism will create its own, it will dig its own grave. Hell, the capitalist will sell you the fucking rope that you will hang them with. When Fanon talks about needing to expand the Marxist lens when talking about colonization, in this regard, the settler colonial project, the Zionist entity, produces its own destruction by subjugating, oppressing, and attempting to eradicate the indigenous Palestinians. In doing so, you guarantee resistance. In doing so, you guarantee resistance. We will see the end of the Zionist entity in our lifetime, no matter how atrocious, barbaric, inhumane, genocidal they act. And unfortunately, Hamas, the resistance forces, lost a leader, but more will rise. More will rise. Yes, Tuvo, this went on literally an hour over what I had planned. And there you go. En Latinoamérica matan la gente, pero no matan a la idea. Rubén Blades. Lulu, I'm a fucking hater. I used to listen to Richard Medhurst until he started cozying up with the populist right. And there's allegations that fool was creeping on like teenage girls. But the age of consent is a little bit different over there where he stays at, I believe, in the UK somewhere. But I'm a fucking hater. That's what I do. I appreciate y'all for being here. Please like and subscribe. Please remember, never give your hard-earned money to these fucking opportunists that want to be lazy and want to live off of hobbies, live a life more comfortable than you'll ever have. Do not feed the streamers. Do not feed the podcasters. Do not feed the video essayists. If you're a leftist and you're trying to make money off sharing your opinions, you're a fucking opportunistic leech. So thank y'all. Have a good night.